Liberia, land of liberty is our home. Keep it standing. This is the one and only home that we have. Sweet Liberia, this land of liberty is our home. Let us keep it standing. It's the one and only home that we have. Oh, sweet Liberia, love is all we need.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Grassroots, Special Representative Liberia, Secretary General, the UN Donor Community, our distinguished members of the 54th Legislature, chiefs and elders, our delegates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking all of you for coming and to warmly welcome you to this National Reconciliation Conference, which amplifies local voices for inclusive reconciliation in Liberia. This National Reconciliation Conference is articulated as GOL, a Government of Liberia, a UN commitment contained in the Liberia Peace Building Plan, which was developed in response to the Security Council Resolution 2333 of December 2016. This conference, Your Excellencies, is a stepping stool to formalize the grassroots process, prioritize local voices from across the countries, and sets the basis to define a national policy for reconciliation. As you know, Liberians are continuing to make repeated calls to prioritize reconciliation amongst reconciliation, because reconciliation and social cohesion are fundamental for achieving the pro-poor agenda of this government. The current context shows that resources and capacity to sustain dividend of peace and reconciliation are strained, while only finally exits in the next 1 week. The country remains vulnerable to the negative social, political, economic conflict drivers, unaddressed grievances and root causes of the war will continue to put the country at risk if left unaddressed. Although this national conference is intended to formalize grassroots process through dialogue around the county, visions and plans, but we have invited the donor community, private sector, civil society organizations, the broader political system, and you to seek firm commitment to be more actively involved than ever before in supporting efforts towards sustaining peace and fostering national reconciliation. The revised strategic roadmap for national healing and reconciliation has now been integrated with the country visions and 5-year plans, thus making it a comprehensive strategic roadmap for attaining genuine peace and reconciliation over the years. The country visions and plans and the strategic roadmap together constitute a compact for reconciliation which are nationally owned, and national ownership in this context is not restricted to the government alone, but rather to the genuine national ownership by all Liberians. This national conference, Your Excellencies, expressed a strong and unified commitment and leadership from the top related to reconciliation, considering that the results are based on the participatory and inclusive process that led to the development of such visions and plans. These visions and plans are part of the roadmap, which should be regularly reviewed through an inclusive process in dialogue with civil society and our international partners. This will help to create a needed space for more reconciliation dialogues. while we can record progress, some progress in reconciliation at the community level, we need a comprehensive, adequate, concerted national efforts towards reconciliation, and the government needs to ensure adequate progress are made at the national level. The Liberia Peace Building Office of the Ministry of Internal Affairs will continue to work with partners to improve coordination and coherence in the implementation of reconciliation programs and strategies for renewed hope for change and peace consolidation. We call on the government to continue to take the lead for genuine reconciliation through increased budgetary support, political will first, and then budgetary support, to enable us to complete the outstanding 7 counties reconciliation dialogue, and to our international partners to continue their support for the implementation of programs consistent with the roadmap integrated with the county visions and plans, as well as outcomes from the 2-day conference. Let me close by thanking UMNO for providing financial support to this conference and the search for common ground, NAMO for supporting the government's efforts on reconciliation by undertaking the 8 counties reconciliation dialogue. I thank you.
Next, we will call on Aaron Lear from the Search for Common Ground.
The SRSG, Saturday. Welcome. Our Honorable Minister from MIA, Honorable Barney Sari, the legislature here present, members of the legislature, the Social Justice, Honorable Kadina Janet, members of the diplomatic corps, our very enthusiastic delegates from the 8 counties here present. I want to say welcome. I will preface my remarks with a question a colleague asked me about a year ago. He said, why do local communities and the Liberian people in general continue to listen to CSO and continue to listen to NGO and trusting that you will be able to draw government attention to national reconciliation, especially when very little has been done over the last 10 years? It was a difficult question, and I didn't have the answer to that question. But his overall question was an observation on the enduring sense of hope by local community, trusting and exploring new solutions to finding lasting, new solutions to lasting and peace in their local community. In 2016, Search for Common Ground and the United Nations Mission in Liberia entered a partnership to explore a whole new social science research that is known as Social Cohesion and Reconciliation Index. This initiative had never been tried in Africa. In 2016, it was the first time this effort had been tried. This school has a dynamic way of providing new lens to an old problem. As a result of that, we've been able to generate a whole new set of information. And so I'm standing here to be very pleased to share with you that as a result of this intervention in 2016, and communities' desire to always want to be a part of finding a solution to the everyday challenges of social cohesion and reconciliation, we've been able to develop 8 counties reconciliation plans. I want to emphasize that these plans are sort of a step down from what we have as the TRC report, the reconciliation roadmap developed in 2012, and now we have 8 counties reconciliation plans. These plans are very specific. As far as we're concerned, they're apolitical, and they represent the collective desire of 8 counties through a deliberate exercise of dialogue, fashioning out what divide counties and what are the agreed solutions. I'm also standing here very mindful today that this year is the eve of the 10 years anniversary of the TRC, and community delegates are very anxious that they all here attending this meeting today. OMIO is leaving in 1 year. Next year is going to be the 10 years anniversary of the TRC. We've been able to put together 8 county plans, very specific plans. All that you need is a revived level of political will to go down into local communities and use these plans. And so, Honorable FRSG, Honorable Barney Sharif, on behalf of the county delegates, on behalf of civil society, and on behalf of Liberians out there who are very enduring in a sense of hope and a sense of trust, and that together we can find a lasting solution to reconciliation. I want to thank you all, and I want to say we all look forward to a very productive 2 days of exercise. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, Faris Ali, the Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Senator Tindman of the Liberian Senate, Senator Brown, a very special guest whom I invited, Honorable Manu Fofana of Local County District Number 4, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps. I see Senator Sabo walking in a very good national attire. You are welcome, Senator Sabo, acting. Dr. William R. Tolbert III, Peace Ambassador of the Republic of Liberia, officials of government of the Republic of Liberia, my colleagues from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, members of the Elders and Chief Council of Liberia, our delegates on the various counties here, distinguished Liberians, ladies and gentlemen. I have the distinguished honor to offer a few remarks here at this very important National Reconciliation Conference, which brings out the voices of our people on the countryside. May I please your honor? Yes, Justice Janet was here earlier. He's here now. Welcome, sir. The voices we will be hearing during the next 2 days are fundamental to setting the direction of the government when it comes to sustaining our peace through fostering reconciliation and enhancing social cohesion. This national conference on reconciliation is part of government and UN commitment articulated in the Liberia Peace Building Plan that was jointly developed early 2017 in response to the UN Security Council Resolution 2333. The government acknowledges that reconciliation is a vehicle for sustained conflict transformation and long-term stability, and this is key to us as government. In 2017, OME supported the Liberia Peace Building Office to design a country-level initiative to strengthen reconciliation at community level. This resulted in OME funding 8 county reconciliation dialogues, which have resulted into country vision and 5-year plan for reconciliation. These plans are being integrated into the revised strategic roadmap for national healing peace building and reconciliation. On the overall, the government has made some progress in reconciliation, though quite slow. These are still challenges. There are still challenges remaining in reconciliation, including passage of appropriate legislations that address the root causes of Liberia's civil war. We certainly vision to collectively work together with all key stakeholders, including national and international partners, to be able to address some of these challenges. Meanwhile, I am pleased to inform that the government has adopted a range of approaches to peace and reconciliation. First, to sustain the institutional capacity by sustaining the Liberia Peace Building Office. Second, to mainstream peace building and reconciliation across government's social, economic, and development agenda. And third, to ensure national partnership, accountability to deliver interdisciplinary services that enable overall transformation. The Minister of Internal Affairs look forward to engaging with all of you through the appropriate channels, especially our development partners, to support our effort in completing the balance of the 7 counties in order to complete the 15 counties, as this will set the basis for development and national policy on reconciliation. Let me close by thanking all of you for coming, especially our delegates from the counties, and to Ombil, Excellency Farid Zarif and your team for supporting the initiative. Also to the Peace Building Office, Search for Common Ground, NAMO, for the excellent organization since we started putting this peace conference together. I'm proud of you all. I want to thank you. We as Liberians, only us can reconcile among ourselves. And with this, I have no doubt that the 2 days that we spent here will come out fruitful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for these additional remarks, which we think are also very important for the next 2 days we will be here. Before going further, I quickly also wanted to recognize Ambassador Tunde Ajisumu for ECOWAS's continuing involvement with these exercises. Thank you for coming, sir. Next, Your Honor, it's your time, and we know you're just coming, but we understand that you will be prepared to give us some opening remarks. So we now call upon His Honor Kabina Janet, who is also Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, for remarks.
Distinguished members of the 54th Legislature here present, members of the Honorable Liberian Senate, Your Excellency Farid Zarif, Special Representative of the UN Secretary General to Liberia, our brothers from ECOWAS, including Ambassador, the Doyen and members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Liberia, Bani Salif, the Peace Ambassador of the Republic of Liberia, Reverend William Richard Tolwa III, members of the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia, and judges of subordinate courts, traditional leaders, members of the clergy, the Fourth Estate, all national stakeholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Permit me, on behalf of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, His Honor Francis C. Corpo Sr., who is without the bailiwick of the Republic of Liberia, and in the name of the Supreme Court of Liberia and the entire judiciary, to say that we are exceedingly pleased to be a part of this historic process, which aims at enhancing peace and reconciliation, but this time particularly focusing on grassroots participation. We recall that in June 2013, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, under the Pillar of Governance spearheaded by the Governance Commission in conjunction with the Peace Office and cross-section national and international institutions, launched the implementation of the strategic goal or roadmap for national healing, peace building, and reconciliation in Liberia. We understand that the roadmap seeks to articulate clear goals for reconciliation, highlighting several interventions to include the rule of law, human rights, and security sector development. In furtherance thereof, the United Nations Security Council in 2016 passed Resolution 2333, referred to by Minister Sirleaf, which mandates the UN Secretary General to formulate a comprehensive peace-building plan to direct the role of the United Nations system and other relevant partners in supporting Liberia before March 30, 2018, when a substantive mandate of the United Nations mission in Liberia will come to a close. To this end, the judiciary remains committed to the realization of this milestone agenda and reaffirms its support to this partnership, which seeks at ensuring that our different judicial interventions impact the reconciliation process and ensure delivery of quality justice to the people of Liberia. We have instituted several reform mechanisms and processes to improving access to justice. These include construction of courthouses and judicial complexes across the country, and the training of more professional legal practitioners for quality justice delivery. We are also developing mechanisms to address overcrowdedness of our prisons and are instituting series of reforms of trial procedures in Liberia. all these activities are being undertaken by the judiciary, sanguine in the belief that justice is an indispensable tool to enhancing peace and reconciliation. The judiciary remains open in working with all agencies of government and partners in ensuring that genuine reconciliation is attained for the betterment of all. To conclude, let us all remember that respect for the rights of the person through the rule of law is indeed the surest sustainer and guarantor of peace and the security of every society and nation. Thank you for your time.
But he wants me to assure the partners and government that the legislature under his watch will cooperate, support to sustain peace as the foundation. And he also wants me to thank you all, especially our rural people that made it far to come.
Leaders of civil society organizations of Liberia, distinguished members of the diplomatic community, United Nations colleagues, representatives of countries of Liberia. I'm very pleased to have been asked to deliver a keynote speech. So, this one is empty. Let me begin by asking ourselves, why national reconciliation? And why now? Under international law, there is an entity that's called state. And that entity has to acquire a number of attributes that would enable it to claim that identity. At the core of all the attributes of that identity lies nation, the concept of nation, which has a meaning that has evolved ever since the dawn of the smallest nuclei of community, gradually expanding to include a larger body of humans who not only stood on the strength of everything that they have experienced together throughout their history, but also on the basis of the common aspirations that they have for forging their future. Now, when we talk about national reconciliation, the question would arise, what has happened that we have to reconcile a nation after it has existed for 170 plus years? Listening to His Honor, Captain Jami, one key cue has been given to us: justice as the foundation for stability, peace, and the foundation of peaceful coexistence. Absence of that would then pit segments of the society and individuals living in different communities of the society against one another. Therefore, there will be a disruption in the quality of law and order and respect for governance based on mutual accommodation and respect. Justice, I believe, even in the narrow interpretation of the judiciary, does not relate only to criminal justice. It doesn't just relate to violation of a law that binds individuals to certain code of behavior. It goes far beyond criminal justice. It includes social economic, cultural, and other facets of the values that all humans not only claim, desire, and aspire, but demand respect by all the others who do not belong to their set of values and beliefs. It appears that the fact that we are getting together to talk about national reconciliation, there is something that is left to be desired. We need to look hard and deep in the history of Liberia, the modern Liberia that came to existence in 1847, and see what elements were there that contributed towards the creation of a nation, and what elements were still there that kept the notion, the concept of nationhood to still be in the process of its maturation. And what transpired later on that challenged the further crystallization and consolidation of the nationhood concept in this country. I believe there has been ample research and academic work carried out by Liberians and those who were seized of Liberian issues that would assist us in understanding the historic, cultural, economic, social, ethnic, and other aspects of the challenges that Liberia's quest for coming to that ultimate state of claiming attainment of nationhood has been articulated, and we need not really try to reinvent the wheel to describe those challenges again. Yet, last year, with the help of our counterparts in the civil society, the search for common grounds, and NEMOT, we embarked upon a process that would validate some of our assumptions, not this time through academics sitting behind a desk doing research work at the universities, but by going to the deepest, furthest, most essential source of information, the people, the grassroots, those who come together in order to create a nation, to gather the evidence that would then become solid foundation for our analysis and would give us hint as to the direction of the solutions that we must identify to overcome the challenges to the further maturation of the nation's concept. And I'm glad the data collected, the evidence gathered, proves a good part of what the intellectuals had already fathomed about. That had already become foundation of the roadmap for national reconciliation and the Secretary General's report to the Security Council on peace building. This time, we could not have made a mistake because we went to the source. People have told us what is needed to be done and what must happen in order for all elements of the Liberian society to come together in order to deliver that ultimate objective of presenting themselves as a nation that is united, having learned from all the ordeals and experiences of the past, having united themselves around the same set of aspirations, goals, ideals, to create a future that would be participatory, that would be equitable, that would be shared by all as their common vision for tomorrow. What is missing in all of that now is the set of actions that are required in order to move us in that direction. We know what the problems are, and we know what is needed to be done to overcome those problems. The issue is about how to and where to and what means. Of course, Liberia, like any least developed country, remains short of adequate resources in order to address all of its needs. However, what's very important here is the gathering of momentum, the consolidation of the will to move forward. With the most successful ever, the most peaceful ever elections held in Liberia, Liberians have shown to the world they have matured, having learned from their mistakes of the past. And they are determined not to go back repeating those mistakes. That creates a very, very solid platform for launching Liberia, its nation, into a totally different sphere of engagement about itself, about its issues, and about the creation of its model. I believe that determination and political will is also manifest in the new leadership of the country. Having listened to the president, our deciphering of his messages would indicate one thing. Unless we reach to that bottom of the society and those who live there and help them to get themselves up, provide them equitable opportunity to become all they can become, and open the political, economic space for everyone to compete on the basis of their capacity in a system. In that process, we cannot transform this country in any fundamental way. A nation cannot be whole unless it enables every segment of the society to fully participate in every aspect of its life, based on the comparative value and advantage that each one would bring. Liberia's strength is in its diversity. That diversity makes Liberia strong and beautiful. And each color, each facet of that beautiful, colorful mosaic adds one additional facet that would give Liberia an edge on issues that many others may not possess. We need action now. We need to look at what has already gone into the schedule of things that need to get done in order for us to get on with the business of accomplishing national reconciliation. It is not an event. It is not a conference like this. You could hold 100 of these conferences and bring a large number of people. Unless you take that first step, you're not going to be an inch closer to achieving national reconciliation. Let's walk out of this place by the end of tomorrow with a decision that would chart out the specific actions that are needed to be taken by the specific set of actors, by specific timelines. We, as a nation, I'm sorry I'm calling myself we, because I've become so close to Liberia. Ever since I first arrived and took a drink of the Liberian waters in '93, that I, without even deciding, oftentimes I say we, and I feel as if I am part of this nation, part of this country. And I'm glad that I'm thinking like that, because I feel the pain that we have all gone through this. We have experienced the agonies of the civil war, of deprivation, of separation, of lack of opportunity, of excesses, of exploitation, of denials, of rapes, of displacement, of lootings and burnings. And that's why I feel that we must really start doing something more serious than just talk about these issues. Let's walk the talk by being very specific, committing ourselves to very specific targets and objectives, and get on with business. UNMIL is leaving, but the United Nations is not UNMIL. UNMIL is just a phenomena of the collapse of the state of law and order in Liberia that was brought about following the decision of the Security Council that Liberians needed assistance to get themselves out of the ditch that they had put themselves. You're out of the ditch. And I hope forever. So now it's time for us to back up and go. But the United Nations system is going to be here, probably stronger than they have been so far. They're adding capacity, and they will work together with the people of Liberia, along with all other well-wishers of Liberia in the international community who have been extremely generous in the past, providing support and hand-holding to the Liberians. That will continue. But no foreigner, no donor, no UN agency can do anything meaningful unless the Liberians themselves start doing something. Something meaningful, something different from the past that is still keeping us challenged today and shape the environment of today. Let's walk out of this meeting tomorrow afternoon with that resolution. That we are now going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to go and chase those specific objectives and targets in order to resolve all the issues, all the humps and obstacles and hurdles that have frustrated our march towards fulfilling the dream of achieving very solid notion, concept of nationhood. Liberia can do that. They are very mature. They know more now about what can be detrimental to their unity, and they know what can bring them together. National reconciliation is not about seeking vengeance. That is a wrong interpretation of national reconciliation. Transitional justice cannot be, of course, doubted at all. It is part of the rule of law. Within a nation and amongst nations, that has to happen. But at all times, we must not forget what are the steps that would move us further towards consolidating the unity rather than creating the division. There are lots of very important parts to the steps that we can take towards national reconciliation that are not vengeful steps. And not every step would cost a lot of money either. A glimpse of how we have written the history, a glimpse of the coat of arms of Liberia would give us an indication of where we can start. That coat of arms reads, "The love of liberty brought us here." Is that really a slogan that all Liberians would want to say, "Brought us here from across the oceans"? Is that really what everybody in Liberia believes to be a correct description of the motto of the nation and the coat of arms? I don't know. That answer should come from the Liberians. And if it is not, how can we transform that, change it into a language that will bring everybody together? Bring everybody together. Maybe the word "brought us here" could be changed to "together." The love of liberty brought us together. That would give a meaning that would not challenge the existence of the people who were already here. And it would not be offensive to those who sailed and took chances on behalf of their own future and came here. Things like that. It doesn't cost a penny to do that. Looking again at certain chapters of history books that are taught in schools. Looking at the cultural, religious, ethnic, linguistic roots of the communities within Liberia. Try to find something that would create a web that would connect them rather than identifying the nation as part of this religion, that linguistic group, this cultural background, because that would be the message. Bring the nation around those aspirations that would bring everybody into the tent rather than just claim the whole thing in the name of one. Of whatever denomination, be it religious or linguistic or cultural or other heritages. Those are the things that would not cost money. It just requires political will to move ahead. Pain, suffering, ordeal, atrocities were committed during the Civil War. Not everybody should be hanged and put behind bars. I tell you, a good number of those who turned out to be perpetrators of violence and crimes, they were first victims of such crimes. They became victims of crimes when they were much younger, forced into the conflict as the logistic boys or cooks or even sexual slaves of the warlords. And then they became perpetrators of crime. So you cannot really say that exactly these are the perpetrators and exactly these are the victims. They have intermingled. In the process of fleeing their own towns and villages, many people had to find food to feed their children. They took liberty with other people's food. They became part of the crime. But of course, you cannot equate between certain crimes and certain other crimes. The issue is about how to reach out and address that pain that still lingers on in the hearts, in the conscience of people. Both those who have perpetrated the crime and suffer because they keep remembering what kind of suffering, pain, and agony they have brought to the others. And those who are still remembering their losses, their pain and suffering that were brought by the others to them. That's why the concept of truth comes. Truth-telling is like a bucket of water that you throw at the flames of a fire. You don't know, you know it better than me, and they know it better than all of us outside, people, the older people. That an expression of apology goes a long way in order to tame down, moderate your anger of the past. All they want is an honest confession that wrong was done to you. We know you suffered, you lost your loved ones, you were uprooted from your domicile, your property was looted, members of your family were raped, and you lost 15 years of opportunity in your life to make yourself, your family better. We are sorry for that. We know that you are wronged, and we are sorry for that, and we apologize. Imagine the impact on those who will be listening to this message on behalf of all of us to say that, oh, a very distinguished group of people gathered, including our own representatives from the counties of Liberia, and with the participation of very senior members, pillars of governance in the country, with the blessing of the international community. Everybody say that we know that you suffered. We know that you were wronged. We know that we became target of a lot of atrocities and aggressions. We apologize for that, and we are sorry for that. That message, trust me, gives closure to a whole lot of psychological suffering and pain of the families and people who still remember. And I appeal to you that you go ahead and exercise that leadership by sending out such a message. That we participants of this gathering, having recognized the bitter experiences that large segments of this nation has gone through during the period of civil war, and we express our profound regret for that. And we also offer our collective apology on behalf of all those who have suffered. And you will make history by offering such a collective apology. Let the government representatives be part of it. Such a message has not been issued as yet on behalf of the state, because nobody wants to own the guilt. And there is no ownership of the guilt if you send out this collective message. Do it, please. There are other things that could be done, reaching out to communities that suffered most during the war. You don't have to send money to every individual in every family, but do something that would help them bounce back in terms of development projects, job opportunities. That will bring together the donor community, the government, and also the society itself. Don't expect the government to be remedy to all of your ills. We have to do it ourselves first. The government job is to keep an eye on the larger scheme of things and help the nation become what it can become. Sorry, I've spoken too long. These are the consequences of now not having a written speech. So thank you very much for your patience. I wish you every success in your deliberations during the next 2 days. And looking forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, we will soon have group photos. Before that, we will have a vote of thanks for this session. And as you can see, the keynote speaker already outlined a couple of things that will go in the next session. That has to do with some challenge you spoke about, which I noted. That reconciliation is not anymore about sitting behind the desk and talking about it. You also mentioned about walking the talk, and I think that's the challenge there. But also the other point you mentioned, sir, which is I think critical for this meeting, has to do with
officials of government, heads of government and NGOs, security sector personnel, the Independent National Human Rights Commission. These other cover here. Good morning, sir. Chairman and members of the National Judicial Council of Liberia, members of civil society organizations, Secretary is here, Scribes, media, my esteemed fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, friends and well-wishers from the counties of the Republic of Liberia. We want to say thank you and God bless you. Welcome to this event. Members of the Judicial Council are also here. I see a dear colleague here present. Good morning, sir. Please permit me, before I say a thank you officially, that I might say a thank you to Almighty God. So, I first want to thank God for this day, just for the opportunity to stand before you and bring greetings, and to thank all of us for the work that we are doing here in Liberia. We want to, through our Honorable Minister, express thanks and appreciation to His Excellency the President, George Manuel Weah, we were at the Palm Grove, the Duke Cemetery with Honorable Bartholomew Cole on March 14th when we went for Decoration Day and laid a wreath at the Duke Cemetery. For the benefit of the audience, those of you who do not know, President Tolbert, the 19th president, lies in another mass grave on Center Street. And we pray that by this conference and other conferences, we have reached the mark. The TRC report said that there are about more than 200 mass graves throughout the country. We pray that we will not go above that number, that is the last number we will take record of, that we as Liberians will make a conscious effort to identify where the mass graves are throughout the country. And we will not go beyond this number, that man's inhumanity to man, as we have initiated historically, will cease from this point forward. There shall be no more mass graves, that there shall be no more war. Yes. We shall continue to say no to violence and yes to peace. We want to thank His Excellency the President. He is a torchbearer. We are all torchbearers. By his work throughout the crisis and by our collective efforts since then, throughout the crisis and since then, we have helped to sustain this peace in Liberia. And we want to thank all of us, those here and those not here, for what we continue to do to sustain our peace. By being a torchbearer, you're not carrying a physical torch, but you have the torch ingrained in your heart, in your mind, the message of forgiveness, of peace, of joy, of hope, of goodwill, good governance, justice, mercy, compassion, love. These messages are the messages we have in our heart, in our minds, when we take the torch. And it is not a short race. It is a marathon race. We're running. We run from Cape Mount to Capamas. We're running from the Atlantic Ocean to Mount Wolagisi and Nimba. But we must continue running this race, taking the torch wherever we go. Peace is what we say, what we do, how we live. We want to thank His Excellency, the Special Representative, for your spontaneous remarks. One thing I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and I've talked to my family and my friends about this, and I've had mixed reactions. But I think, with all due respect, if we must go forward, there are some things that certain people must do. I want to thank God for His grace and mercy. And I want to thank God for President William R. Tolbert Jr., our father. When I came out of post-arcade in 1981, after 20 months in there, I realized that God had me here for a reason. And since then, I've been carrying this message of peace and reconciliation. And by the grace of God, if President Tolbert ever wronged anybody, he's not here. But I stand to say I apologize for what he, the president, might have done from 1971 or before 71, for the time he was in public office or private office, to the time of his untimely death in 1980. We are torchbearers. God bless you. Thank you.
My take on it is for us as a country to reflect where we've come from, where we intend to go. Okay. There are a lot of issues that we've been discussing consistent with some of the benchmarks set by international organizations, the UN, the AU, ECOWAS, Monterey region, and now that come at the end of this month, all men will be departing. What lesson have we learned while they were here with us? What lessons have we learned while they were not there with us? Those things we're going through as a country and people, what do we need to do? So this is a period of stock taking, so we'll be able to make a determination so that this country will go to war no more.
How important is this conference, by the way?
For me, it's probably the most important thing. It's ground from whence to start fostering in a new government, a government of the people, by the people, a government that will be reconciled, consider all our ethnicity, consider all of what we went through. We need to reconcile with ourselves, and no one can do that better than us with ourselves. All we have, as Army has done what people have done, they have helped us. They're about to go. Where do we go from here? Do we go back to where we come from? Absolutely no. And as a member of the Liberian Senate, a member of the Security and Intelligence Committee, and also a representative of ECOWAS, we're going to ensure that peace is sustained in this country, and by extension, the mineral basin, West Africa and Africa at large.
Given our recent ended election with a lot of political differences from political parties, ranging from counties to individuals, what difference do you think this peace conference will make in making sure that these differences are resolved and everyone can work together for the better growth of Liberia?
I think the election we've had in this country has set a mark. I'm listening to the resilience and let us learn lessons from a Liberian perspective. So if others will be learning lessons from us, let's be proud of what we are set to achieve.
Okay, except you have something else to say, but thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I hope it's just the beginning.
Love is all we need to make it stand. This is the time to come together. Keep Liberia safe forever. So open up your heart, let the unity begin. Love is all we need to make it stand. Let's cultivate one another. Learn to live together as brothers and sisters. Without togetherness, we won't have no peace of mind. Unify and have a peaceful Liberia, land of liberty is our home. Keep it standing. This is the one and only home that we have. Sweet Liberia, of liberty is our home.